Okay. I do believe I am live right now, but we'll have to wait and see about that in just a second. Yeah, sorry for the delay right there. Trying to get this all set up, and things keep changing, and sometimes they're not working as well as I would like them to. But so, yeah, we have quite a bit to get through today. Not going to sugarcoat that. I guess if you're here for music, though, I guess that is kind of fine. That makes sense. I hope everything is working all right. But I guess we'll find out here. And okay, yep. So excellent. Well, I mean, I guess I know who's watching. So yeah, I'll just jump right into it. For simplicity's sake, yeah, we're gonna start out with electronic music, and then pop and indie, both of which not very much, and then sort of the rap and hip hop, and then we're gonna end with rock and metal. And there is one sort of oddball pick, not even a pick, just an oddball one at the end, but I'm gonna kind of keep that as a surprise. So yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, with all of that, there are like 30 albums this week. I honestly, like around Thursday or Friday of last week, I thought it was going to be kind of a slow week, and then it picked up, and a lot of EPs kind of is the general thing. Albums seem to be getting shorter and shorter. I don't know if that's just a way because it's easier for musicians to self-publish now, so they don't actually have to pay. So it's cheaper for them to go into studios and record little snippets as soon as they have a bit, so they can put it up on streaming, or what the deal with that is. But a lot of times now, 6 songs is, I think, kind of the average, 6 to 7. So anyway, though, I'm going to switch over to this view right here. And yeah, like I said, we're going to start with some electronic stuff. We've got 4. The first one is the Dead Whales EP by Yutani. Now, Yutani is actually an artist out of Armenia, or he's based in Armenia, but that's where he grew up as well. And yeah, just to kind of his description down here in short, it's a ritualistic, esoteric electronica bit, a sonic journey filled with rhythms and textures that draw inspiration from his childhood. The title track has whale song in it. The track Dle Yaman has traditional folk singing. It's just very heavy, meditative. It's kind of like if Enya was on a bad trip, the classic Enya from the 1990s. But we'll see how fast this loads actually too, because not if it's going to load. It might not, simply because I'm not on a VPN right now. Crap. All right, well, all right. I'm not gonna... Oh, that's frustrating. Let me try one thing here. I forgot about that. Just a second. Let me, I hate to do it, but I might have to open up Contact. Yeah. So that's the one kind of negative aspect of... So this... I'm not using a VPN right now, which makes things, I think, a little bit more stable in terms of connection. But then Bandcamp, for whatever reason, just does not open. So we'll see if I can't find it maybe someplace else. Yeah, maybe not. I can check Spotify. Spotify does have this album. I know that much. So there's always always something fun and exciting when it comes to this. But all right, I'll think about what to do for the final track. I think the yeah, I'll get up Yutani though real fast, and technical difficulties as always. Okay, so I'll switch back over to the stream, and then that way we should have music now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Can hear some of the whale song there too, but I'm gonna skip ahead. This has got the traditional it's not all like this, but it does, like I said, it's Enya on a bad trip type of thing. Just jump into another one real fast. So yeah, that's the Dead Whales EP by Yutani. You can find it. I got links to all of the music in the description down below, as always. With most of them are on Spotify. This one, as you can see, is on Spotify. There's only 2 which are on Bandcamp. That would be the next one, which I may not be able to play, just because, like I said, I'm not on a VPN, and the thing that I'm using kind of blocks it. Unless... Anyway, yeah. So yeah, you can check this out on Spotify. All right, moving on. I just realized there is a tricky way that I can do this. Yes. So it's not ideal, but yes. So the next one I've got here, I actually want to see if I can't find the... No. Okay. So anyway, the next one that I can't play off of Bandcamp, unfortunately, it's 3 tracks. It's only 15 minutes. It is 15 minutes long, even though it's 3 tracks. The title here, the Funk Deal EP, and this artwork, right, just explains everything better than my words. So dig out your old vintage clothes with this one. Throw this music on and have yourself a little 15-minute dance party, because it's a funky, groovy little good time. You get the idea. So yeah, the tracks vary a little bit, to be sure, right? It's not all like that 100%, but that's the vibe you're gonna have. So if you want something which is funky, that's about as funky as it's gonna get this week. Okay, moving on. away from Bandcamp into websites, which I know will work, except for this final one, which is a mystery. We have Kenguru Roger, and this is the Melancholia EP. So 3 tracks, again, very, very short, but it's this kind of trap, electronic, witch house type sound. I actually saw somebody on Vkontakte who summed it up perfectly. This is the music that Salem would be making if they were still making music in 2025. If you don't know who Salem is, then that kind of goes over your head, but it's kind of heavy, distorted, but also pop, kind of, at the same time. Jump ahead. Go back a little bit too. There's that it's kind of heavy, darker electronic sound with the muted style vocals was a hallmark of the witch house sound of the about 20 years ago. So, and a bit of the hip hop beats in there too. So, as they say these days, it's definitely a vibe. But yeah, it's Witch House is a sound that kind of faded away, and it's good to see that it hasn't disappeared completely. Not the type of stuff that you would probably listen to every single day, at least most people. But I feel like it does have a place. Maybe not in the springtime as much as you might have in the autumn. It's definitely got a darker vibe. But anyway, and then the last electronic release is the Mission to Titan EP by Radioastronomer. I would say this is probably of the electronic releases, the one I enjoyed the most. That's why I'm saving it for last. This is basically Soviet-sounding retro synthwave music, inspired by an imagined trip to Saturn's moon by cosmonauts during the Soviet Union. And it's the type of music that I would love to see this group do more of, these kind of conceptual little albums around traveling around the solar system. Kind of have like takeoff right here, right? Launching into space. Let me check out Saturn's rings. Definitely going for that old analog synth sound that you would have probably seen or heard during the 70s, right? Floating majestically above the gaseous giant. It's very sci-fi, and it's it's kind of simple, but you can, based on the song titles, imagine a little bit of what they're going for, which I appreciate. And at just over 16 minutes long, it's a short one that you can sit down to enjoy. So yeah, Radioastronomer, Mission to Titan, definitely of the electronic releases from this last week, one of the better ones. I will point out that, and I will open Spotify again here real fast, that there were other electronic releases from this last week, right, that I listened to. In fact, a lot of the electronic releases tend to be EPs, which I don't love all the way through, but I do typically try to add some of the better tracks into the Spotify playlists, which there are links to at the bottom. Again, I update those relatively frequently, but anyway, moving along. Just figured I would point that out. All right, we're going to move into like the pop and indie sort of section. This is an album which wasn't honestly sure where to put it. I almost put it in the rock section, but I figured it actually makes more sense here. This is post-soft rock, if that makes any sense. Or like progressive soft rock, lo-fi 80s pop. It's got this kind of, it's hard to explain, but when you hear it, you'll understand it. I honestly almost didn't include it. I almost just sort of left it out because it's too much like Muzak, the shopping experience type music. But it's, like I said, it's that kind of 80s quiet Brian Ferry almost style pop sound. And in 2025, I can't actively remember anyone pursuing and developing it, so I felt like it was worth highlighting. So yeah, this is the album Moonoir from Moonlight Empire. Right? It's like, there's something very 80s about it. I can't put my finger on which musician it reminds me of. Brian Ferry is just the closest thing, or the first thing that came to mind. But there definitely was this sound in the 80s, right? Where like that kind of, I don't know, in the days before trip hop. And it's got the guitar that shows up. Oh yeah, there's a piano too. Just waiting for the guitar to come back. There it is. So that's basically what the album is all the way through. It's like nighttime driving music soundtrack. Yeah, it's very 80s. Can't exactly quite put my finger on what it is, but it is a sound that I don't really hear all that often. So it stuck with me because this is actually something I listened to late last week and then came back to honestly this morning. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is actually, there's something here. So, all right. Up next, we have a pop duo, Kai Getera, probably. The EP is Lad. Just 3 tracks, really short tracks. But it's just catchy songwriting. First track, got this funky bass line and bouncy pianos. Next one's bluesy guitars, smoky vocals. The final one, just really sparse instrumentation with the kind of echoey, ghostly vocals. A huge assortment of sounds here, but they're all done really well. I was kind of not expecting that from, is it going to play? Let me reload. The bouncy piano's there. There's that bass line. The chorus reminds me a little bit of LP's one of her songs, chorus, but I can't remember which one. And then this is the sort of bluesier, you can hear it right away. Not the sound that you would expect after the first track, to be sure. But done well. So yeah, 3 songs, all quite different. Zori is the last one, is also sonically different as well. But yeah, this is the Lad EP by Kai y Getera. Or Getiera, I don't know where the stress mark is. Next up, we have zhanulka, which, yeah, let me just go over to the album. Very straightforward. Muzika, kошки, bильярд is the name of the EP here. This girl, young woman, I would say she's probably going to be one of the next big names in the Russian pop scene. She's got a fairly, oh damn, her follower, she's got over 1 million monthly listeners. So yeah, she has picked up. She maybe is already the next thing in the Russian indie pop scene. But I think that was already obvious last year. She put out an album in June. I actually listened to it quite a bit when I was back in the States in December. And yeah, I didn't think it was going to be anything, and it just kind of wormed its way into my sins. Kind of the same story here. For a young person, makes sense, right? Songs about love, strife, heartbreak, all that emotional stuff, but it's not like super. It's kind of fun in its own way. A lot of real world audio samples, doors opening, billiard balls, like getting racked up and broken, announcements over an airplane intercom that are kind of interspersed throughout the songs to, I don't know, put you in the situation that she's singing about. And then there's just a bunch of other instruments scattered throughout. But so it's pretty straightforward, but there's just a lot going on here, and it's easy to let its hooks get into you. Go with the first track too, because
поле зрения, между нами ничего не было. Не дай Бог тебя увидеть, не дай Бог тебя услышать. Не хватит пары секунд, чтобы снова снесло крышу. Не дай Бог ты что-то скажешь плохое про меня. Так могу делать только я. У меня забита голова.
Like that cornet, almost mariachi band style in the background. The billiard balls right there. just a lot of fun little things getting thrown together on the tracks that really take it from being a really simple, basic pop indie style song into something that is more memorable. So, but yeah, that is Muzika, Koshki, Bильярд, which is literally music, cats, and billiards by zhanulka. So, all right, next up we have Heart Shot. This is a full album by the artist Podwall. The singles from this album actually started leaking a little bit last year, but the album finally came out at the end of February. And honestly, I could have put this in the rock and metal category, as about half of the sound's DNA is post-punk. But honestly, the pop category and the electro category were kind of skimpy this week, so I figured I'd just throw it in here because the other half of the DNA is straight up it's pop music. It's got this dark wave pop post-punk sound, a lot of drive, especially in the bass line, catchy hooks. Maybe the one downside is that the tracks lyrically can get a bit repetitive, just like the bass lines in a post-punk song. But it is somewhat easy to overlook. It's quite catchy, so give a little bit of a listen here. So I think it's pretty obvious the post-punk and the pop, like, they're working together. I'll give a listen to Glaza here. That's the post-punk, just like sped up. It's very fast post-punk, I will give it that too. And the vocals. So there's a lot, like I said, it drives, it goes, the lyrics, they just, right, it's, the choruses are basically one or two lines of text and they just repeat over and over again. So that's why I said the lyrics get a bit old, but it isn't just a one-trick pony, right? Like, it does switch up a little bit. This is a little bit more just straight up pop, right? So yeah, that's the Heart Shot album by Podwall. Pretty good. There's a lot of these short tracks in here. They're called skits. They're not actually skits. They're just like little interludes. So it is a bit shorter. It looks a little meatier than it is. It's 13 tracks, but realistically, it's like what 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 9. So it's still quite short, but it moves quickly. All right, and then we come to the final one in the pop and indie category. This is by the artist Iskrit, and I don't know how to pronounce this. It's like SN084 Snow84. I don't know what SN084 is what I'm just gonna say. And Iskrit is an artist who she released a bunch of singles last year. Like a lot. And they were all really good. And I remember each time they came out, it was kind of a big deal because I guess she's been around for a while, but she started getting more active last year. And then we get this little mini album basically at the start of 2025. So maybe there'll be more to come. But it's basically electronic music, but there's these light, timid, hushed female pop vocals woven throughout the whole mix. The vocals are kind of even like blasted and distorted by the electronics from time to time. Almost like she's just sort of being held hostage by the track, or perhaps even melted into it. But you'll get what I'm talking about here when it gets going. There's the pop vocals for sure. If you were to remove the vocals, you would just have a straight up like techno track, so which is fine. And then we'll give Tak Lekche a listen as well. I feel like this was a sound that was more popular in the past and has kind of faded away. I might be misremembering that, but Iskrit's always working with I forget the name. There's like a electronic techno Russian label here in Moscow that she works with quite regularly as well. Jump ahead to get to the So it's honestly, it's a perfect way, I think, to end the pop indie category right after the electronic one, because it's a marriage of both of those musical worlds. And Iskrit, like I said, has got, last year she started out with just like a bunch of singles after having, some releases in the past. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a full length later in this year. But these 6 tracks on SN084, I don't know. Don't know what to do with this one. It's not CH. It's the Russian SN. Maybe it's supposed to be like a number of a car. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, Iskrit is the best sort of pop and indie release of the week. Which, not to say that there weren't more of them, but I guess I just didn't. If there were, they weren't really all that big. Wasn't much was talked about them. But all right, the next 2 releases we're gonna go through really fast because they're both very simple and short. We are in that kind of other territory. This is basically going to be kind of more classically 3 tracks here. It's like literally less than 5 minutes. Sumburs Volume 1 by Vadim Besov. Just 3 short piano pieces, basically feel kind of improv. I did not know that they were going to be this short when I put them on, but not too much more to say about that. You got 5 minutes of kind of some just interesting little piano playing. And then the next one is RassvetniyLis, Melodies of the Heart EP. Got this nice little fox, samurai, kitsune, playing a piano. Again, so 5 short piano tracks. This one has string accompaniment to it, and the tracks tend to be a bit more wistful, I would say. As to why I have these two in here, it's because, well, sometimes in the morning when like eating breakfast or getting ready, all that stuff, I try to find some calm, quiet music. Sometimes it's electronic or something like that, but every once in a while I stumble onto something like this, and for a short, what is this, 6, 8, about 10 minutes, it's kind of enough to get the tea made and sort of settled down. So, but yeah, between RassvetniyLis, Melodies of the Heart EP, and then the last one, Sumburs Volume 1 EP by Vadim Besov, you got 15 minutes of just kind of piano music that you can relax to, I guess, if that's what you need. And it has this lovely fox. It's a great picture. I don't know. It's probably AI generated, just because honestly at this point in time, you see any sort of artwork like this, you just immediately assume it's AI generated, but what the hell, I guess. Okay, moving into rap and hip hop. And yeah, we actually had kind of not as great as last week. Last week was pretty good, but this is pretty close. First up, we have, I'm assuming it's HIPMA, zima. Now, this is a new group. It's 2 middle-aged guys who I don't think have any musical experience prior to starting this group like a year or 2 ago. But it's like this old school throwback hip hop sound. Feels like something out of the late 1990s from New York City. This is their 3rd EP dedicated to a season. So this is the winter one. Before that was autumn, and before that was summer. So I'm assuming that we'll probably in a few months here have the spring tag Vesna. But yeah, the sound and the lyrics are all kind of focused around winter. And these guys are from Surgut, which is pretty far up there. They have kind of not easy winters, we'll put it like this. So the picture even has that old school hip hop vibe to it.
Город говорить умеет, но молчит упорно. Ноги можно жечь, их поджигает холод. Птицы с головами Full HD и 3D обзором. Я под полным наблюдением, будто рядом кардиолог. Курим слепоту, инфаркты, инсульты. Минздрав...
Jump into.
С отделом сами не справляются. Икары на асфальте ночью, день с понедельника по пятницу. Триггеры родных в белом круге, синие лица. 3 простых вопроса: как, зачем и где полиция. Лица и глазницы в рамке всех традиций. База даст ячейки занести себя в Excel-таблицы. Включиться как закладка на странице. У этой книги нету шанса снова тут открыться. Колумба ищет поводы и доводы. 1, 4, 3 пароли. Поиск сатисфакции — это выводы теории. Проверка круглосуточность продажи алкоголя. Причина алкоголя — запреты или школы.
So yeah, I'm gonna switch back to the cam too. I'm gonna go to the audio and see if I can't fix that a little bit. But let me bump up the volume there a little bit. See if that works. Yeah, anyways, it's that kind of that old school sound where they're just verse after verse after verse. I mean, obviously there is a chorus from time to time, but that's not the focus of it. So I did try to adjust the audio. I bumped up the computer sound a few decibels. So we'll see if that's any better. I guess. Yeah. All right. So anyway, moving along. I suppose I should put the stream back up, so it will get me out of here. Moving along, we are getting into, oh god, this one. Yeah. This is artist Dilan, Music Album, produced by Little Young Baby Big. There is no actual Little Young Baby Big, just in case anybody's curious. This is kind of a joke. Kind of get some ironic, maybe you could say colorful views into life, into Moscow today, and to some degree Russia. Obviously the imagery on the album artwork is a callback to the Memphis mixtapes of about 20 to 25 years ago. It is technically musically rap and hip hop, but it does lean heavily into the pop direction. The lyrics are pretty clever from time to time. A lot of pop culture references. There's a song about traveling to the seaside and having a sunburn makes his back look like Peppa Pig, which is just a weird one to throw out there, but I enjoyed. Also, the hard bass song as a whole section dedicated to the Euro techno group Scooter. So yeah, a lot of pop culture references, which, you could probably say this is like a meme or a joke rap type album, but there is definitely a serious streak here with Dilan. So it just seems like he's maybe just having some fun on this album. And it's done well. That's why I'm talking about it, so.
Я так себе писатель и так себе поэт. После меня останется лишь углеродный след. Я так себе художник и так себе актер. Я еще при жизни уйду в небытие. Так себе вокалист и никакой танцор. Мои танцы — это верный способ потерять лицо. Я так себе шоумен и средний музыкант. Каждым новым треком приближаю свой закат. Но сейчас, если быть честным, хороших-то и нет. Поэтому спасибо, что послушали куплет. Здоровья вам, любви и комфортного достатка. Комплиментов от судьбы и жизненного фарта. Я люблю вас, мои люди, как Варум любит Акутик, как бабу Капу любит Лунтик, как мужики любят груди. Я люблю вас, мой зритель, как авторадиоводитель, как Расторгуев китель, как боярский Питер. Я не переверну игру, ну и пусть. Я не фараон и не Каспийский груз.
And we'll jump to the last track too. Just
Моя детка хочет Тайсон, детка хочет бриллианты, но мечты разбиваются о баланс моей карты. Моя детка хочет Луи, хочет темку, бэху, тройку, но я максимум могу и закинуть лаве на тройку. Моя детка хочет Мицу, детка хочет Накомо, разобьет ее амбиции, мое тропарево. Детка требует Дубай.
if you don't understand Russian, it's hard to really explain. It's kind of funny. Again, it's not like a joke rap in a stupid way. This last song, he's rapping about basically putting on a front, pretending to be more rich than he is. In fact, later in the song, he's talking about how he's basically talking about like how his girl wants all of these things and he can only afford like these really simple. Basically, he can't afford anything, and that is all a front and it's all a farce, and just like it is with a lot in the rap industry. But it's done with like this very hard sound. So yeah, from a musical point of view, it's just kind of fun. And if you don't understand what it's saying, you might misinterpret it, but I guess it doesn't matter if you don't understand what's being said. But if you do understand Russian, then the lyrics are actually quite entertaining. There's a lot of just kind of fun and kind of jokey little bits there. All right, moving on. We have Zapas by Pasha Jdanov. I'm horrible with the stress marks in last names, but got this kind of grim album art. And yeah, this is a very musically dense, lyrically dense indie hip-hop album. It feels so full of metaphors and meaning that, I mean, I had listened to it multiple times, and I was still puzzling through it after multiple listens. Although that said, if you don't understand or you don't care what's being said, then the rapping and the music together make for a pleasant listening experience. Nevertheless, it's kind of like I don't know, like a Jackson Pollock style painting, where from afar, it's just it's you can experience it at two ways: from afar as just an image, or up close and you get to see all of the little details. Maybe Pollock's not the best artist to choose from there, but it's too late. That's the analogy I drew. Like musically in the background, the backing track, there's quite a few things going on back there. Jump around just a bit here. His lyrical delivery is not going to be for everyone. I can already tell that for some, it's going to be a no-go, but and this is actually the track that I think was a single before it was put on the album here. And I think for a lot of people, it might have been something of an introduction to it. And what was Жданов in before this? I gotta check. So yeah, that's Zapas by Pasha Jdanov, who is also in the indie group called Supergrupa. So yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. But anyway, yes, actually, you know, it's a good album. It's a good album all the way through. It's not going to be for everyone, but I do think this is one of those that I might, upon revisiting it later on, realize it's quite a bit better than I'm giving it credit for right now. The next two albums, I really couldn't decide who was the top pick for the rap and hip hop category, and we'll talk about it because they are so vastly different from one another. So I'm going to talk about Yanix with his Vibes album first, simply because Yanix, he's got a song in the top 100 here in Yandex, which is kind of a big deal because it doesn't change very much. Yanix has been in the rap game here for over 10 years. I want to say 12 years going on here. And he's been in the game for about 12 years now, and he's put out about 10 albums. So he's pretty consistent, about one every year. And his sound has basically not changed. It's that kind of, and you know, it's okay with it. It's that fun, dumb party rap sound. And that is something that here in Russia, we just don't really get very much of. And a lot of times when we do get it, it's just not done very well. People don't get it. Yanix knows how to do it. He started out as kind of more of a trap artist and transitioned into more of that pop party rap type thing. It's the sex, money, parties, good life, nice things, all of that. I would not be surprised. In fact, I will be disappointed if some of these tracks are not in heavy rotation during the summertime, because they've got, the album artwork is perfect. It is. It's got the summer vibe all ready to go here at the end of February. It's all ready. And it's got that vibe all the way through. It's fun. This is just a fun album. I put it on and was immediately enjoying myself. And it feels like it's about 10 or 15 years old in terms of sound. Maybe even a little bit older. Just jump around. Becomes pretty obvious, like the general vibe. It's never too serious.
На мне баксы, будто я бани. Уведу в нору твою хани. И за мной вся тима, я хави. Булки в масле, я буду их жарить. Эй, я буду жать полки. Ключ от джипа, это кузов и стоп-гир. Я злю брок, его бэха от Hot Wheels. Я топ-3, топ-топ-топ-G. Мой щит, его не назвать постным. Слышь, лил, мама, у нас дохуя соуса. И за любой год у меня хитов стока. Какой из них взять в шоу, я хз, чё ты? Йоу, поехали.
Maybe there's not a demand for it, but I feel like the Russian rap game needs a little bit more of this. Maybe the American one at this point in time too, not entirely sure.
Потусить или заработать, молодой парень, но я выберу второе. Я считаю нал, это сумма. Капитал вырос быстрее пуза. Они все говорят мне давай, и я чувствую себя ща как мама Люба. Бланковая тишка, сложно поверить, но она стоит 30. Тихая роскошь, это я чист.
I mean, he even calls out Andre 3000 of Outkast and Ludacris in that last track. So, yeah. Anyway, Yanix with vibes. Even if you don't understand what he's saying, you can still enjoy it. You might even recognize a few of the references just from how he delivers them. So, in terms of like rap and hip hop, this is probably the top pick. But I got to talk about Kolos by Sultan, because this is an album I wasn't sure where to put in, but I think I ended up putting it here because of the hip hop aspect to it. This is somewhere between old school hip hop, like late 80s, early 90s style hip hop, Sugar Hill Gang style hip hop, and jazz funk improv. It's equal parts, both of those. I'm just going to put it on. The only complaint I would have about this album is that the rapping sometimes feels too hard for the musical accompaniment, but it's not such a huge deal. It's not all the time, so you can kind of not think about it. But like, I get Prince vibes from this a lot while listening to it, but it's just like, it's a jazz funk album, and then there's this old school rapping over the top of it. It's such a fun combination. The tracks, look at how long these tracks are. They're basically all 7.5, 9, 8, 5. Like, they're long. They have room to breathe and develop. Like, that last little bit with the vocals, right? But there's even sections in the song for the instrumentalists to solo, to just kind of improv and play around a little bit. So it's such a fun, and like, it's just such a fun album to listen to. Like, you put it on, and half the time it's this type of stuff where it's like that jazz funk improv vibe, and then the other time it's that Sugar Hill Gang, early The Roots, like hip hop with live instrumentation. And then sometimes there's a little bit of both. I mean, I can jump to another track and just so you can see that it's so just musically, this is, I don't want to say it's experimental because obviously it's not like a brand new sound or anything, but I don't think I've heard anything like it out of Russia before. It's done well. The musicians are really good. The rapping works. It's not like I said, sometimes it feels a little too aggressive, but that's okay. That's just how it's delivered. So yeah, Kolos by Sultan. Is it Kolos or Kolos? I don't know. This is the thing with Russian. You never know. Kolos. It is Kolos. Okay. So it was all right the first time. Yeah. It's, even if you don't understand the Russian, just having that sort of like, you can imagine as somebody, the scat, like over the top of that jazz funk music, and it still becomes just like a fun, interesting listen. So is it rap and hip hop? Yeah, technically. Is it what we would normally think of as rap and hip hop? Probably not, especially in 2025. But so I'm putting it kind of as my top pick for the week because I think it's definitely a rap and hip hop album, but it's so different from what we normally get, probably from the rest of what we're going to get for the rest of the year here. And just in terms of the reach, right? People who don't normally listen to rap and hip hop can enjoy this. In fact, pretty much anyone can enjoy this because it's just like musically a very good album. It's just fun. And honestly, the artwork is phenomenal here. Like I didn't even know what kind of music this was. And I saw this art and was just like, yeah, I'm listening to this. I figured it was going to be some sort of psychedelic thing. And I guess you could say there's a level of psychedelic sound to it, but it's not exactly what I was expecting. But damn, it's some fantastic artwork too. So yeah, Kolos by Sultan. And then that's it. We're to the rock and metal category. And yeah, we're going to start off with rock and metal, kind of with rapcore, because we're transitioning from the rap and hip hop category. Rapcore, right? Rap, hardcore. It's honestly a sound that I guess turned into a genre at some point in time. I would have always just figured it a variation of nu metal, but here we are. Things are always evolving. got a mix of Russian and English lyrics here, which kind of feels appropriate given the mashing up of rap and hardcore genres. I mean, for people who enjoy metal, it's kind of a fun and light listen, as odd as that might sound. So there's the rap, obviously. I don't know if there's anything too hardcore in this one track right here. Maybe should have gone with the title track. It was actually my first choice, but... For anyone who recalls Little John and the East Side Boys, that crunk style of rap, it's basically that, just with metal instrumentation. So yeah, it's basically metal Little John. And with slightly less shouting. Little John loved to shout, so... But yeah, that's Psycho Mantis and Tony Resnick with the Kill Switch album. Like I said, kind of silly, kind of fun. Just a small thing. 7 tracks. Not too long, just like most of the albums are anymore. But figured I'd throw it on. I had some fun listening to it. Nothing too memorable, but... Moving up, we have Koala Whore. Heck of a name, right? Я не хочу себя в нас потерять is the name of the EP. Back in high school, I probably would have called this fake metal or something. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of understood that gatekeeping is elitist and just bad for any community, right? You want to get new and people interested in what you're interested in. So I appreciate this for what it is. It's basically metal with training wheels. Pop metal, we could say it like that. It's got clear female vocals. What do I have here? Clear female vocals. The backing instruments feel like they were designed for a 2000s pop punk album, but the guitars and the solos are all just kind of like your bass level intro metal. If I had to summarize it, it is a modern Russian take on Avril Lavigne, but metal, not punk, but there definitely is a touch of punk in these tracks as well. So I feel like this is the type of thing that were it released when I was in high school would have been very popular with all of the scene girls. So like there's the pop end of things. Hey, it's fine. If baby metal out of Japan can exist and be loved around the world, so can this. Kind of got that electro pop sort of thing. So yeah, it's just, again, it's metal with training wheels, and that's a-okay. You don't expect everyone to jump into the deep end. You're not going to throw somebody into Cannibal Corpse before they've learned, I don't know, Evanescence or something. So yeah, Koala Whore, Я не хочу себя в нас потерять is the name of the EP. It does say pop. I would disagree with that. I'm going to put it in the metal category. I think that's where they deserve to be. I think that's the sound they're going for. Up next, we have Mir by Sonic Death. Now, I want to point out Mir is an acronym. It is for Mnie ispravit rastrel, which is prison slang, which is the only thing that will fix me is basically a bullet to the head. So kind of an interesting choice here. This is the modern classic, or the classic modern garage rock sound, a la Ty Segall and the OCs. This group has a long history. They go back over 10 years. But there have been some major shakeups recently, relocations out of the country, some members leaving, things of that nature. But if you like that modern garage rock sound, or the classic modern garage rock sound, I should say, then this is going to be good. I'm going to jump ahead just a bit. Right. Really fuzzy. Really fuzzy. You got the sticks clicking off. Sonic Death is kind of maybe like you could say an underground staple here, even though they don't have that many listeners. So yeah, that kind of lo-fi audio recording, very raw sounding everything. That is Sonic Death, and that's the classic, or the modern classic garage rock sound. And this is their new EP, Mir. All right, now we're moving into. We're still going to be mixing up with some albums, which are not maybe from here on out, we've got just pretty much all top level stuff, and this is the last. Basically the last EP. We're going to run into 2 short little EPs later on as a breather, but this is the last serious one. And this is Amen by cinq. It's got post-hardcore here, which I suppose is probably correct. It's basically everything. Emo, black metal, shoegaze, post everything. So many genres are mixed into these 4 tracks. And describing it feels like musically, then it would be a mess, but that's not the case at all. The lyrics here actually, and you could probably guess that maybe from the artwork, focus on spirituality and higher ideals connected to literature and like the nature of being. And it's themes which aren't super common in the metal sphere. I mean, sometimes you encounter them, but typically not, right? Like, what is the purpose of life and all that type of stuff. And then combining it with the music, like it all kind of works. Just very well put together EP. This, in the metal communities here, has been getting a lot of coverage and garnering a lot of discussion, and rightfully so. Gonna jump ahead. So. there's a lot of different things musically happening in terms of the ideas. But intros like this, you can maybe get the post-rock, post-metal vibe going on. The singing, there's a lot of the emo vocals going on. I'm gonna... So even in the course of just one track like that, Простительная, the third track there, just in terms of music, so many different ideas happen, and it's just a 4-minute track. It's not like some huge, massive thing. And it's like that through the runtime of those, all 4 of the tracks. So really tight, really dense little EP. It's one of those that you can listen to again and again, kind of on repeat, and you're going to like uncover stuff. It takes some time for it to sink in. And I think that's maybe the trend of the music this week, is that a lot of these albums, a lot of the really good ones, require a bit of dedication to them, which is good, right? A lot of the music we consume nowadays is kind of throwaway. You know, you enjoy it, it's fun, it's a good time, but ultimately it's not going to stick with you. And the ones that force you to come back to them again, the Pаша Жданов, the cinq here. There's another one here coming up in a little bit. That's the same type of story, where you spend some time in order to really figure out what makes them tick, but by spending that time, they also have kind of like wormed their way into you as well. This next album, though, is nothing of the sort. It's Eat 'Em All by Fast Food. And good God, look at that album art. I'm not going to try to make this. This is just English language thrash metal out of Astrakhan, the old school Metallica style of thrash. No, it's not all food themed. Not even close. But we're just going to jump into it. You'll figure it out. You know the sound. It's a little bit like Slayer, though, I will admit. So, just 80s thrash. So yeah, you know the sound, or I mean, like, if you know the sound, you know what you're getting. That's what the album is, and yeah, it's just fun. It's good time. It's in English, so that was Fast Food, Eat 'Em All. Literally a reference to Metallica as well. Moving along, I maybe closed that tab a little too soon, but oh well. Here we have Lie. I'm assuming that's how we're going to pronounce that. Lie with Sol. I'd say this is half pop rock, half darker alt rock, but there's a lot of danceable rhythms in it, which kind of makes it a bit infectious in some ways. Infectious melodies, and it's the sound of the 2000s, the early 2000s, which is something that I would say, well, at least for somebody who remembers it, doesn't really ever get old. So let's jump into it. You can hear the danceable rhythms here, right? It's gonna be a pop rock, but it's gonna have that like dark alt rock sound as well. So yeah, very, very dancey, just in the with the hi-hat, the snare combination there, but definitely with the guitars and the heaviness that they've got back there. They've got that alt rock sound. Get a little bit more of that here. There's the heavy. Got that new metal, you might say. So yeah, would have been, I feel, quite popular about 20 years ago, give or take, 2025. It's got that sound. It's still good. I mean, if you enjoyed it back then. That was Lie with Soul, or yeah, Soul by Lie is the name of the group. All right, up next we have Vampir Glava Vtaraya, or Vampire, the second chapter, by White Punk. Evidently, this artist has been around for a number of years, and in the past was like a part of the hip hop community, because literally the only people in communities online I found out speaking and excited about this album were actually hip hop communities. So I was a little confused when I listened to it, because it's pretty far removed from the hip hop sound. In short, this is modern, radio friendly pop rock. And I don't mean that negatively. It's just a statement of fact. It's got great production, because White Punk, I think, was originally a producer. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to mixing and whatnot. It's just this sort of tasty, mindless type of music. It's really easy to enjoy, but it's hard to pin down later on, like trying to describe the flavor of cotton candy, right? You know it's good. You enjoy it. But if you had to explain it to somebody, it's like, it's sweet. It's good. It's like, it's just good. Just good, right? Just fun. So this is White Punk. He actually even made like a 10-minute video to promote this thing of him dressed up as a knight fighting like these hordes in a forest. So the dude's all about the vampire thing right now. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Probably jumped just a bit too far for that one, but is it like the male version of Evanescence? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. There's a bit of the hip hop. So it's pop rock. But it's okay. You want that sometimes. And it's got vampires, right? We all like vampires, I think. So yeah, that's Vampir, Glava Vторая by White Punk. The cotton candy of the rock world. All right, up next, we have CV Yar. They have the English title here, A Scarlet Sunset Over the Horrid Abyss, or in Russian it would be Над страшной пропастью рдяный восход. It's kind of interesting because it's written in Russian here, and the name is written with Latin letters, but then here it's in Cyrillic, and I don't know what's going on with the titles. Black metal, post-metal. It's not necessarily post-black metal. It's something between both of them, or it's songs that are post-metal and then they transfer to black metal, or they start in black metal and they transfer to post-metal. They're just long songs, right? You can see none of them are, well, the shortest one is 7 minutes, basically. They fluctuate just back and forth between those two genres. There's even some more quiet melodic sections in them that are closer to post-rock. And I think I want to just talk a little bit about what this album's about, because I think it maybe can help put everything into context. The album is focused on one of the most tragic pages in Russian history of the Soviet people, the age of the Gulag. The album is dedicated to those who confronted the horrors which were dealt to those people who were in the camps. In the musical plan, post-black metal with sort of like whole cold sounds and things of that nature. It's dedicated to the Gulag. Like just a fun topic all the way around, right? But you know, that's metal sometimes. So this track, for example, post-rock. It's got a very post-rock intro. Very calm and soothing. It's even got the like piano in the background. But we jump ahead a little bit. Kind of that post black metal. 2 minutes in though, still no vocals. So we're very clearly like in this just like now we find some vocals. And there's the black metal, like the black metal sound. So yeah, CV Yar, A Scarlet Sunset Over the Horrid Abyss. This is another one of those, I wouldn't say it's super difficult. They're just long. The tracks wander, take you all over the place. But if you like post-rock, or specifically post-metal, and you don't mind a little bit of black metal in there as well, this is a really good album. And, I mean, it's a thick one. All things considered, only 5 tracks, but you're looking at the 45-minute mark right there. So, all right. We are creeping towards the end. We're getting to some of the better stuff now. And we have an album by a group called Russian Depression. The album is Rock Bottom, and it's post-rock. So this is straight up post-rock, but it has the psychedelic sound. The music is formed around like synthesizer, piano, organ lines. The guitars, like they're still definitely front and center on the tracks, but the guitars play slightly less of a dominant role in the music. I would say that the psych prog aspect to this music is a bit of a double-edged sword. Oftentimes, some of the tracks lack clear melodies, so it can make it a little bit hard to remember. Not all of them. Some of them have pretty clear melodies. But that kind of ever-shifting sound, that post-psych prog rock, if you will, it's music that you can just put on and do something to, and you know, it's like a lava lamp, right? It's always shifting somewhere in the back of your head. You know, something's going to be working somewhere in the back of your mind. Even if you are doing something else, your mind is going to still be kind of observing the refractions and everything that's happening musically. So yeah, it's a good album. It's a very good post-rock album. I'll go with Samurai. I'm actually going to put this on, and then I'm going to do one thing real fast. I'm going to do that, yeah. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to let you enjoy this for just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. You get the idea. I had to step out, but I figured with a post-rock sort of proggy style song like that, or album like this, it was better to leave on a a track along those lines that shifts and moves around a little bit. Domes is another one. If I had been sitting here, I probably would have switched over to that one. There are a few other ones that have some more memorable, I guess, choruses, but yeah, I mean, we haven't had much post-rock this year, so I got to highlight that. And it's a bit different in style than a lot of the stuff we get. So yeah, that's Rock Bottom. I suppose I should have put this up. Rock Bottom Na Dnie by Russian Depression. It's their first album too, I would point out. So, all right, we basically just have like 2 or 3 albums left, 3, but the next 2 are these really short ones. So we're just going to talk about them fast because we're on the post-rock thing. I'm just going to get through it here. Up first, we have Slow Me. This is the Highway EP. 3 tracks of that kind of dreamy post-rock sound. So one-man project. He has released a steady trickle of tracks over the last 2 years. I would really like to get a full album out of him at some point, but for now, we get this. That kind of... Are you kidding me? So, you know the post-rock sound. This is not a new one for anybody who's listened to post-rock before. And because the tracks are so short, and there's only 3 of them, you get the idea. So that's the Highway EP by Slow Me. Up next, Что-то пошло не так. So that would mean something went wrong. So we'll get it here in a second. We have Spят Kity with the soundtrack EP, or Whales Sleep is the name of it. This is 3 more post-rock tracks, but this time the sound is a little bit bigger, more epic. They use electronics to heighten that sound as well. It does feel a little bit like something that you might hear on a soundtrack of some sort. So a bit larger, a bit more epic night sky sounding, I guess. Yeah, so that's Soundtrack EP by Spят Kity. But yeah, we're getting to the big ones here. The final 3, we had a lot of big releases. Some of them are from earlier in the month, I'll be honest. I just got around to them this last week. But first one, we have Nightside by Grima. Grima is a group which I'm just going to show the picture because it's like Siberian Slipknot, I guess. They've got these wooden, evil forest sprite masks. Let me try to find. That's in Cyrillic, of course. So, yeah, they definitely have a quite spooky look going on with the masks, and I'm all about it. It's a brother. It's 2 brothers out of Krasnoyarsk, if I remember correctly. So in Siberia. And this is their first release for Napalm Records, which is kind of a big record distributor in the metal community. So it's kind of a big deal. But yeah, this is a big deal for them. Great vibe. Like I said, got the evil wood sprite masks. It's black metal, but it's that more atmospheric post-black metal type. Not quite what we saw with Siviyar, but in that same vibe. the big thing with their sound is that they use a button accordion on the tracks. So there's an accordion, and it's front and center. It's not like lodged in the background somewhere. It is a key part of the tracks, which makes it quite memorable. It's about 50 minutes long, all things considered, even though it looks like it might be a little bit more than that. But it's, again, this is another one of those dense albums. It's one of those that it's going to take some time to grow on you, but just like the moss in the forests of Siberia, of the endless taiga in Siberia, it will slowly cover you in time, and only then will you understand properly. All right, get ready for the accordion. Not quite yet. Just regular black metal right now, right? There it is. There's the button accordion. You can still hear the accordion there in the background. So it's black metal, but it's just not that simple. It's not as unforgiving as we typically think of when we think of black metal. There's like a bit more melodicism to the tracks. Skullgather is softly, it's like personal favorite of mine. Impending Death Premonition is a good one. Flight of the Silver Storm is kind of the hit, but that's because they released a music video for it. So if you're interested, go check that out. Got lots of spooky masks. Them in the wintry taiga forest. But yeah, this is an album, if you can deal with the style, that really asks a lot of you, but will give a lot back in return. So this is Nightside by Grima. Even the artwork has got that mask thing going on. But all right, up next we have Unsora with their EP Пока свет не заберет нас. And yes, Deftones core. Never thought Deftones would be anything other than a group, but now they're a genre. Deftones core is very much a thing. I think we need to thank TikTok for that. But this is the debut album and of a group, Unsora, and it's a great example of Deftones core. It's got the Chino-inspired vocals, the airy and mysterious guitars from Deftones' White Pony album. Bit of the hardcore vocals in here as well. That's what we get the core in Deftones core. There's also a bit of Tool and some emo in here as well, just from time to time to mix things up a little bit. Makes the whole stew a little bit tastier. This is their first release, like I said, and honestly, I'm excited to hear what else they put out in the future, because I do like this sound. I love Deftones, and I love that sound just extended upon. That's the Deftones sound right there, 100%. Just imagine Chino kind of doing his thing. Even the drumming's got a little bit of that. Jump ahead. There's the hardcore. And some of those dun, 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 dun. There's a little bit going on back there. That's I'm getting the Tool vibes from that. The fact that the tracks are all so long too, just great stuff. This might have also reminded me just a bit of Tool, but hard to say. And we jump down here. There's a little bit more of the emo sound in this track, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But then we go back to the hardcore. And then we go back to the Deftones. So yeah, «Пока свет не заберет нас» by Unsora. Deftone score, you want to call it that. It's the easiest way to describe it. It's good stuff. I love I love the mix of sounds. I love that kind of. I love the fact that Deftones, 25 years after breaking onto the scene, are now more relevant than ever. So, yeah, great album, or EP, I guess, if you want to call it that. I guess it's an EP. It's 5 tracks, but really good stuff. Very close to the top pick, but honestly, the top pick for the best album of the week. It's just a lot of these albums I enjoyed as I was listening to them, but there was only one that within like the first track, I was just like, holy shit, this is something. And it's this one right here. It's Hate Nap, which first of all, Hate Nap, great name for an album. It's Hate Nap by Rifts. And you'd be like, this is an EP. This is all super short. But then like these last 2 tracks kind of balance everything out. So it's a full thing. Even though these tracks are relatively short, don't laugh at it. I remember when groups like Pig Destroyer and Killer Be Killed, which, you know, they're probably still out there doing their thing, when they dropped albums back in the day, these just like thick albums of hardcore mixed with metal, this unholy union of those 2 sounds, and it just like amplified the aggression, the heaviest parts of both of them. Just albums, sounds that assault you right from the very beginning, just beat you around. This is one of them. This is another one of those albums, just like a mind blower when you put it on. If you want something that's loud, aggressive, well produced, heavy as fuck, this is the ticket. It's got English vocals too, so it's got everything you could possibly want if you want a metal album. So I'm gonna take you through a little bit of. I'm not even gonna touch the longer tracks. The longer tracks are journeys. They are very slow and brooding, and then they burst forth when they reach their boil over point. So I'm just going to drop you into the more touch and go ones. This kicks ass. Like, just... Is it punk? Is it hardcore? Is it metal? It's just everything. Yeah. How about this one? And one last one. So yeah, like I said, just it's heavy, it's intense, it's just really good. It's really good. It is probably top 3 for metal albums of the year so far. It's very good. It's not number 1, but it's up there. And it's just because it's a specific sound in the metal community that, I mean, I'm sure somebody would be able to point me to a specific genre that does this sound all the time, but done in such a tightly oiled machine style, you don't get that very often. So yeah, my top pick for the week out of all genres is Hate Nap by Rifts, the second full length from a group out of Moscow, and their first one in like years. So that's another thing too. These guys haven't put out any music in a very long time, and then they turn around and put out something like this. So, but we got one album left, and I don't want to keep us any longer than we've got to. So I'm gonna switch back to this real fast, and just because I figured out a way to get the music to play without actually having to switch on a VPN, because that would screw with the stream. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use Windows Media Player. Yes. All right, we got this. I got everything figured out. It's going to be a little bit janky, but you know. All right. So we're going back, and yeah. All right. That's not what we want. So it is Kobold Butai, if I'm reading that correctly. Kobold is a monster in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's about all you need to know. Also, this artwork is fantastic as well. This is bagpipe music out of Barnaul. And again, just for anybody who doesn't know, is not familiar with Russian geography as well as Moscow's here, right? We're over here. Barnaul. I'm going to have trouble finding it. It is over here somewhere. I was probably a bit too... Barnaul. I went too far. Barnaul. Down here. Oh, I guess it's not as far east as I thought it was. But yes, Barnaul. All the way out here in Siberia. Down far, far away. Some guy in Barnaul, Kobold Butai, not some guy, Kobold Butai. He's making bagpipe music. He has bagpipes in Brno. I don't know how that is. The song titles are all ridiculous too. It's the saga of... I'm not even... Hold on, let me find one I can easily translate. The saga of the silly village man who all his life played an idiot and died as an idiot. The saga of the fat barbarian whose good intentions ended with a bit off head. Like, it feels like something out of a weird fantasy novel or just like some satire of medieval life. It makes a lot more sense when you understand. This is music intended for a tabletop RPG like Dungeons and Dragons. There are 12 tracks here. Altogether, you got about 13 minutes, which is perfect because it's bagpipe music. 13 minutes of bagpipe music, I think, is about what most people can handle. So, lords and ladies, cometh to the festival and enjoy a bit of medieval atmosphere. I hope you roll a 20. So yes, that is, real fast, Kobold Butai. The album is just one. Just one is the name of it. So yeah, it's been a long one today. 31 albums I had to go all the way through. So anyone who actually sat through all that, congratulations. There was a lot, as always. Hopefully you found something interesting, something worth listening to. I'll be back on Sunday as normal to do the political stream at 9 p.m. Moscow time. I know North America is about to do daylight savings time, so take that into effect. It will be an hour later for you. So if it was noon before Central Time, it will be 1 in the afternoon Central Time. We'll see, obviously, as we get into the springtime and the days start to get a little bit longer and blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'll shift the times of these things. But yeah, and then next week I'll do some more of the music. It'll be interesting to see. So far, I haven't seen too many releases for March. I thought maybe I was done with the February music, but there are still a few albums I would like to check out. We'll see if there aren't too many interesting releases over this next weekend. Then maybe I'll sneak in a few more of the February ones that I missed. It is interesting how in the States music tends to be released on Tuesdays for whatever reason, or at least it used to be. And Russia right now, it does seem to be backloaded. So it's all Friday. Thursday, Friday tends to be when people release stuff. And then it's one of those things where a bunch of stuff is released on Friday and it takes people like a few days to dig through all of the stuff. But yes, it has been 2 hours. It's been a lot of music, been a lot of jumping around. I guess 30 some albums, you're going to have that. But anyway, politics, Sunday evening, 9 p.m. Moscow time, which, pay attention to the time change in the United States if that's where you're at. And then next week, again, I'll be back here on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Moscow time as well to do even more music. But hopefully you heard something that was kind of interesting. I know there was a lot of stuff in there that I probably will be going back and listening to when I have the time. God knows I don't have much of it, getting through 31 albums in a week as is. But everyone, enjoy the rest of your weeks, and I will see you when I see you. So I have to figure out where I put YouTube so I can actually stop this silly contraption. All right, everyone, take care of yourselves. Adios.